Times have changed. The rules of dating and relationships have changed. The ideals and influences that shape gender roles in Western societies have changed. The way women and men perceive each other and treat each other has changed. Women are now more empowered than ever, but they're also more entitled than ever. They believe financial independence will make them happy, but end up realizing it too late that it doesn't. Men are now refraining from getting into relationships with women because they know they live in a society that doesn't allow them the benefit of the doubt. In other words, men have realized that being in serious relationships with women is not worth the time, effort, and their resources. Since it is undeniable that men are choosing to withdraw from relationships, careers, and education, I would want to discuss why this is happening and how it is negatively affecting men, women, and society as a whole. More and more men are avoiding dating women, getting into relationships and marriage. And this isn't just something happening in a particular city or a particular region. It's happening across the Western world. And this doesn't make men lonely. It means men would rather be alone than be in relationships where they have nothing to gain. Men are now looking to focus on themselves, rather than spend their lives laboring for women who don't really care about those men. And as a consequence, we can see a major decline in family values, and children in the Western world. Women have moved into traditionally male jobs because males aren't being given the opportunities they had before. Men are only being restricted to work in labor-intensive roles, while more and more women are being preferred for decision-making roles. While that is great for women, this is causing an imbalance in the traditional family system where men were providers. In fact, it is detrimental to society and civilization for women to be supported in these productive professions, since it costs more money to employ them than they generate. We can see that this situation won't last for very long, but for now, let's focus on some of the specifics. 3/4 of the jobs lost during the Great Recession were held by males, and the majority of them were in the industrial and manufacturing sectors. There's also a weird belief that office-based jobs are more important than labor-intensive manufacturing jobs. That's not quite accurate though, because the genuine tax base isn't merely the result of the manufacturing class's actual productive work, it's also because they produced and generate goods and products for society. They are the actual support systems of the families that make up the population. Additionally, office work is considerably better suited to the solitary individual. This is the issue. Men struggle to keep their office jobs. I'm sorry, but no, regardless of how skilled you are, you won't be able to keep your office job unless you're ready to act like a total beta. If you don't believe it will come to that point, simply take a look at the older males in that society to know that it's becoming worse than that. And to achieve that, you're going to have to violate your own male self. I say this because manliness just doesn't allow men to work in cubicles while listening to their managers give them orders. Working conditions for women are excellent. To demonstrate how powerful women are in the workplace, a woman only needs to voice a modest concern about the behavior or emotional impact of another male. That demonstrates how deeply our culture and society attend to the needs, wants, and emotions of women. Men are thus choosing not to work. You now know that some of them will, on the positive side, turn it around, establish industries for themselves, and launch their own enterprises. However, the majority won't. The same thing is happening in the educational system. Men are being forced out. Boys are being expelled from early childhood programs. More and more boys are being conditioned and stigmatized for nothing more than being male. They are grading people according to how well they submit, comply, and conform. These are not characteristics of men, traditionally and naturally. It appears as though the strongest and healthiest guys are being punished for exactly that sort of conduct. You're sabotaging your best efforts and setting a poor example for others from a young age. Boys are being trained to have female traits, and the guys all around cave in because they also want to win the approval of women. It appears as though society as a whole is being kept captive, and everyone must proceed with caution. Your school system is taken over by women, who also vilify guys and stop teaching hard subjects. As a result, if any of you out there are interested in getting married and starting a family, congratulations. You now have a son who excels at being still and performing tasks that have been allocated to him like a robot. Let's examine the judicial system. If you don't pay alimony, you risk going to jail, which is likely the only place in the world where males are sentenced to prison for failing to provide for a woman for the rest of her life. As an example, if you get into a serious relationship and have a child. After that, you split up. You're now going to have to help pay for that child's upbringing, aren't you? Of course you are. The point here is that in the eyes of the law, you're still being treated as the main provider, while women are being given more opportunities at work. So how can a guy make enough money in labor-intensive jobs and still provide for women who now occupy decision-making roles that make it possible for them to earn more than men? Isn't this unfair? Let's assume they conclude she needs to receive over $2,000 per month to care for the child and herself. In the meanwhile, you have financial difficulty and are unable to provide that amount. For a while, all you can afford to offer her is $1,000 each month. As a result, you're getting thrown in prison. How is that fair for a man? The woman might divorce him, take his children, his home, and everything else he has and has worked really hard to get. She damages his reputation, forcing him to pay for her care for the rest of his life or face jail time. Love really is blind, isn't it? No man wants to love this much. No man wants a woman this much. Overall, men are basically victims of their own biology in their submission to women, and women are ready to use their bodies to influence men. We have our whole history to see that. Our society as a whole is focused on taking care of these entitled princesses, not toward productivity, efficiency, or constructing a future, but rather toward gratifying the fleeting whims and needs of a wealthy group that despises those who help them. Saying that they are not decent and honorable guys and getting a response like that is a tactic used on honorable men. The current state of the news business is like that. What is happening is an exploitation of male nature. He naturally wants to protect the women, he wants to be of service, he wants to be loyal, and he wants to do what's right, so you condition him to believe that what he's doing, he has to do for her because that's her birthright. Every time he disobeys your orders or ceases to be your servant, you can simply accuse him of disregarding that particular aspect of what it means to be a man, and he will comply. Once the man agrees to the entitled princess's manipulation, she will make him do things like hold open the door, take a B grade instead of an A grade, and buy insurance even if he is completely healthy and has never seen a doctor. He must go bankrupt because he must pay taxes for individuals who aren't even citizens of his nation. He has to incur a financial loss. He takes food from his table that he has worked hard for so that he may give it to someone else who is playing the victim, and wants to have many children who will learn the same thing from society. At its core, it is clear that males are repressed in Western civilization. Guys are becoming increasingly aware and slowly realizing how every system that controls anything, from taxes and insurance to law and the economy, is being carefully crafted and manipulated to work against them, and they're not having it. They are aware of the risks involved in losing what they have worked so hard to achieve for themselves and getting burned in relationships. Men increasingly think and believe that they are better off alone throughout the Western world. They don't want the drama that comes with dating. They don't want to come back home to whining women who are ungrateful for everything that the men do for them. They don't want bad marriages, and they don't want to ruin the lives of their children. They don't want situations where they're accused of something they didn't do and still end up behind bars. Truly, men around the world are finally realizing that there's a lot more to life than women, and in most cases, it's a lot better without them. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel.